you're watching it from one of the Facebook groups. I want to welcome today, we have Mark Gibbons and Liz Newton from DepositLink. DepositLink is a program where you no longer have to have a client mail in an escrow or a commission check. Mainly, we'll talk about escrow checks today, but just so you know, this can be used with commission checks as well. But basically, instead of like having to drive a check to an office or having somebody mail, I don't know if you guys have noticed, mail takes like 12 days now, regardless if it's one town away that you're mailing to. Basically, DepositLink is an ACH withdrawal of escrow funds. Similar to a wire, but less expensive than a wire. Not only that, it gives you like a tracking mechanism so you can follow the trajectory of the deposit. So with that, I'm going to hand over the call to Mark and Liz from DepositLink to explain how this can be used. And by the way, our Massachusetts agents have been using this for quite some time, at least many of our Mass agents. If you're a Mass agent and have never used it, you have access to it, but also Florida, New Hampshire, Maine, you guys have access to the DepositLink program as well now. So with that, welcome Mark and Liz.
Thank you, Stacey. Good morning, everyone. My name is Mark Gibbons. I'm the VP of Sales here at DepositLink. I also help out with a lot of the training. I do have a 20-year background as a real estate agent myself, previous to working with DepositLink. So I like to think I can speak firsthand as to the inefficiencies that dealing with paper checks causes within a real estate agent's business. So I'm happy to be able to talk to you today about DepositLink. DepositLink is a way for agents to easily collect earnest money deposits electronically, safely, and securely, creating efficiencies for everyone involved in the real estate transaction. Okay, so I'm going to walk you through the process of how you're going to be able to do that when you sell a property. If anyone has any questions along the way, again, feel free to put it in the chat, which we will check periodically. Okay. All right, so I am sharing my screen. Stacey, you can see my screen, correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. Okay, so DepositLink is a mobile responsive website, right? It is not an app. You don't have to go to the app store and download anything. Instead, you'll all be able to access your DepositLink account on any device by simply going to depositlink.com. So if you prefer to do business on your phone, you can use DepositLink on your phone. If you like to do business on your desktop or laptop, you can use your DepositLink account there. So I'm obviously on my laptop right now. I'm going to go ahead and sign in as an agent. Now, first, I'm going to show you the workflow where you're able to log into your account and generate a request for payment. And then I'm going to show you an additional option, which might even be a little bit easier for you to use as well, which is a custom URL. Okay, so you'll go to depositlink.com. Sorry, let me just shut it right off. And you'll log into your account by putting in your username and your password. Your username will be your email address, your password you create when you activate your account. I believe you'll all receive your activation emails later today if you haven't already. So once you're signed in, you're brought to your active deals page. That's what we're looking at right now. So these are all the properties that I previously sold that I collected a deposit on. This is also where we begin the process to request a payment on a property, whether it be for a sale or for a rental. We're going to focus on sales today. All right, so let's pretend I'm one of your agents. I just sold one of my listings. We just signed everything up electronically, and we now need to go ahead and collect that deposit. We're going to request payment for sale up the top left, and we're going to select earnest money deposit. We're now going to create a deal to generate that request. We'll start by entering the property address. That address will auto-populate based on your location. So we're creating a deal for 432 John Hancock Way in Boston. We'll then select our role, listing agent or buyer agent. In this case, we'll choose listing agent. We'll click continue down the bottom right. We'll then enter the payment amount, call it $5,000. We're then able to set a deadline. So this deadline will default to approximately 48 hours away. We can move this deadline forward or back as necessary. What this deadline will do is generate an email reminder to the buyer, reminding them to make that payment. Okay, those emails are sent 12 hours away, 4 hours away, and 1 hour away from that deadline. We'll then choose the payment destination. This will default to your company's escrow account. Okay, so Stacey worked with our finance team, connecting your company's escrow accounts on the back end of the platform. So the money's going to automatically flow to that destination. You as an agent, you don't have to worry about putting in any account numbers or routing numbers at all. Okay, we'll click continue down the bottom right. We'll now make a decision. Are we going to request this payment through the buyer's agent or request it directly from the payer? Okay, so if it's a direct sale, there's no other agent involved. We'll request it directly from the payer. Most of the time, there'll probably be a buyer agent. I'm going to select this option here. I'm going to enter that buyer agent's email address. First and last name. And company name. So Joe Smith from Main Street Realty as our buyer agent. We'll click continue down the bottom right. We now have some optional information we could enter. We could add additional recipients to receive the payment notifications. This would be for somebody outside the deal. The agents and the buyer will automatically receive these notifications. Your admin and accounting team will have access to them as well. So this would be for someone like the lender, maybe the attorneys. You can put in a sale price, closing date, reference code, etc. Otherwise, down the bottom right, we'll click continue. We'll then review and confirm the request. We'll check the address, the amount, and we'll just put a memo in down the bottom. We'll say deposit. Down the bottom right, we'll click request payment. So that's it. Request successful, email sent to buyer's agent. So that typically takes a listing agent about 3, maybe 4 minutes at the most to go ahead and generate that request. Again, just as easy for you to do that on your mobile phone as it was for me to do just now on my laptop. You'll notice this copy link feature down the bottom here. You always have the ability to copy this link once you've generated that request to text it directly to the buyer agent or the buyer, depending on what stage you are with the request. So if you want to be extra diligent, the platform's going to automatically send an email. You could follow up by texting the link as well. Okay. Anybody have any questions about what you have to do there as the listing agent?
No questions yet.
Okay. All right. So as soon as you generate that request, again, your job as the listing agent is done. You can just sit back, follow along with the reporting and tracking. As soon as you generate that request, I'm going to go over to my email. An email is going to be sent, in this case, to the buyer agent. Okay, this is what that email looks like. It says, Mark Gibbons at Link Home Realty has requested you connect your client for payment. So this will be branded with your company logo. It's going to mention your name at your real estate company. As requested, you connect your client to DepositLink for payments related to the property located at, property address is listed, details of the request. So at this point, you as the listing agent, you had a conversation with the buyer agent as to how you're going to handle the earnest money deposit. You explained to them that your company uses DepositLink and that they should expect this email to connect their client for payment. Okay, so this buyer agent is going to be expecting this email. They're going to click this link to add their buyer to the request. Okay, so I'm going to quickly show you what that buyer agent has to do. Their job is easy. They click that link. This web page will open up in their browser. Again, they could be on their phone or on their laptop. Details of the request are listed on the left-hand side. So they're going to make a decision. Is one person making the payment or multiple people splitting the payment? Right? Every now and then you might have a younger couple. They don't have a joint checking account yet. They might want to split it. Most of the time it'll be one person making the payment. So I'll select that option. I'll put in that my buyer's email address. First and last name, Bob Buyer is my buyer. Down the bottom right, I'll click continue. I'll then review and confirm, and I'll click request payment. And that's it. Okay, request successful, email sent to payer, right, to the buyer. So again, that buyer agent's job is simple. They receive that email, they click the link, They put in their buyer's name and email address and they click request payment. Should take them a minute or so to do that. Worth noting that buyer agent does not have to be a DepositLink account holder. Okay, you're the DepositLink account holder, so you can include any other agent in the request. Let me see, do we have a question in the chat here?
Yeah, one of the things we want to point out, so for our Maine and Florida agents, you guys will have recently received an invitation to DepositLink. Massachusetts agents, you may not have received one because we've been using it for quite some time. What we want you to know is that, first of all, the email that you log in with has to match the one that we're using for you. So we set you up on the back end. So if you have a problem logging in, first examine what email you're using. In Massachusetts, everybody is using a Layer email. In Florida, it's a little different. We have lots of agents that are not using Layer emails. Whatever email we have on file for you is what your login is going to work with. And by the way, if you get stuck and for some reason it's not working, then you can email happyagent@layerrealty.com and we'll verify which email we have used for you. But for the most part, whatever Layer email we're using for you, you can just click the forgot password and DepositLink will help you reset the password. Mila asked, why do we need this? Isn't it the title company's job? So Mila, this is in Florida. In some instances, the title company holds the escrow funds. But I will also note in Florida, we hold a lot of escrow funds where we are the listing brokerage. And when a deposit is collected, Lair Bowen is holding the escrow. So this replaces the need for the buyer of your listing to have to mail a check to the office, which will then get deposited, and then we end up releasing the deposit upon closing. This is just a shortcut to that. All right, keep going, Mark.
Okay. So I played the role as the listing agent. I then played the role as the buyer agent. Both roles took just a couple minutes to do. As soon as that buyer agent adds their buyer, another email will be immediately generated. Go over to my email. This is the email that buyer will receive. It says you have received the request for payment. So this will still be branded with your company logo up the top left. But at this point, we mentioned the buyer agent, Joe Smith at Main Street Realty, since this email is being sent to their buyer, right? We want their buyer to feel comfortable with it, so we mentioned their agent. So details of the request are listed, the address, the amount, where the money's going to, and the deadline. So this buyer is expecting this email at this point. They're going to click this link to pay the request. Okay, so I'm going to show you what the buyers have to do to make a payment. So they're going to click this link. This web page will open up in their browser. Details of the request are listed up the top. So they're able to make this payment in 2 steps. First, they're going to verify their identity. And that's done with basic contact info, name, mobile phone number, current address. They're going to create a password down the bottom. This is so they can log back in to easily make an additional payment should they need to do so. They wouldn't have to verify their identity again and connect to their bank account again. They could also log back in if they need a copy of their receipt, if they lost that email or other transaction details that they might need. Down the bottom left, they'll agree to have their identity verified. They'll agree to the terms of service. Down the bottom right, they'll click continue. They'll then proceed to step 2, which is to connect to their bank account for payment. Okay, so there's 2 different ways they can do that. Option 1, the consumer will enter their online banking login credentials. Okay, so that's their username and password, so they can instantly connect to their bank account and make the payment. Okay, so this is done by a company called Plaid. Plaid is the same company that Venmo uses, American Express, Fannie Mae, Goldman Sachs. They all use Plaid to connect consumers to their bank accounts. So if you ever need to explain to a buyer, what is DepositLink? A fair definition is that it's Venmo for real estate transactions because the consumer connects to their bank account the same exact way as when they connected to Venmo. That's something that 80 million people can relate to. 80 million people now use Venmo. So a lot of your buyers have already gone through this process, okay? So feel free to use that to explain it. Now the option down below, option number 2, the consumer could enter their bank account and routing number to connect to their bank and make the payment. So if you have customers that don't have online banking, they could use option 2, okay? I'm going to show you what that Plaid connection looks like. So when I click connect, we're brought right into Plaid's secure environment. Consumer will be prompted to select their bank. It's one of the major US banks. It's listed right here in the front-facing platform. Otherwise, they can do a search. As you can see, there's over 12,000 banks and credit unions on Plaid's list at this point. I just picked a small local bank in Massachusetts. Once they find their bank, they'll put in their credentials. They'll click submit. They'll enter their banking portal, where at this point, they're simply going to select which account they want the money withdrawn from. Okay, they can't do any other type of banking of any kind. They can't transfer funds between accounts or anything like that. In this case, they'd simply select checking or savings. Now, also at this point, Plaid is going to do a balance check to make sure the consumer has sufficient funds. Okay, that's one of the nice benefits. This is a demo site, so don't pay attention to these balances here. In real time, if the consumer does not have the money, they can't make the payment. Okay. All right, so we'll select checking. We'll click continue. That connection will get made. Consumer will be brought back into the DepositLink platform to confirm and finalize that payment. They'll check the address, the amount, note the processing fee. So for all transfers, there's a processing fee of $15, right? So all deposit transfers is a $15 processing fee. Keep it in the typical bank wire, certainly more convenient than running around chasing a paper check. Consumer will click send payment. You'll click send payment again. And that's it. Okay, they'll be brought to this success page right away. They can download a copy of the receipt. Show you what that looks like. So this will be branded with your company logo up the top left, and it contains all the details the lender will be looking for when it comes time to show proof of deposit. Right, if I go over to my email, we're also going to email everyone, letting them know the payment is pending. Okay, so I played 3 different roles there. Does anyone have any questions about any one of those roles at all?
Does the agent have to do anything from there?
They're done. They can follow along with the reporting and tracking if they want. But as far as having to log back in or do anything else, they are done. The money's going to show
Okay.
up in your company's escrow account.
So does the agent get an email at each step?
Yeah, so they're going to receive that email right away once the payment is pending. So when you receive that email, you know that the buyer's gone in, connected their bank account to the platform, agreed to the $15 fee, and confirmed the payment. Once the payment posts in your company's escrow account, you'll then receive another notification letting you know about that as well.
Okay. And
An
then,
updated receipt attached to it.
okay. So basically the agent doesn't have to do anything. They'll automatically get email notifications throughout the process of it, including if there's any rejection, like there's not enough money in the account, the agent's going to find out that the payment was unsuccessful.
Yes, exactly. That's one of the nice benefits. Typically, when you're handed a paper check, you know, you're working with a little blind faith that the consumer has the money in the account. Once you receive that pending email, you know that a balance check has been done at that point. Now, there's a slight chance a buyer could bring their account below, you know, the amount. They forgot something else that was going to clear. But again, you're going to find out right away about that. You're not going to find out a week later that the check bounced.
Gotcha. And then agents that want to use this, we have had several agents depending on the marketplace, for example, in Massachusetts, tons of brokerages are using DepositLink, so it's become secondhand, like that's how deposits get collected. But can you talk about what the process would be if an agent wants to ask a listing brokerage, is that how it would work? For their payment through DepositLink. So you're a buyer's agent and you want your commission payment through DepositLink. First, you have to ask the other side if they're willing to pay the commission through DepositLink. But if so, how would I request that payment?
Sure. So if you're a buyer agent and you're looking to collect a fee from the other real estate brokerage, again, you just log into your account, request payment for sale, and you'll select commission. Right? You'll put in the property address that it's associated with. If a deal has already been created, it's going to pull up that deal. Right? If a deal has not been created, it'll quickly create a new deal for you based off of the address, right? Let's just say it's associated with this deal. We'll select that option. We'll click continue. We'll put in the amount. We'll set the deadline just so that they receive email alerts reminding them. Click continue. We'll say it's the listing company. You'll put in the email address and a memo, and you click request, and that's it. So once that payment gets made, that money will automatically end up in the company's operating account at that point. So you can, at that point, distribute to the agents.
Got it. So one of the things I would say is if you're using it for the first time in a marketplace where it's unusual to collect a deposit this way, just let the buyer agent know. If you're a listing agent and you're collecting the escrow deposit in this fashion, I think it's just important to make sure the buyer agent knows there's a step they have to take, which they'll receive an email and that they have to fill in their buyer's information. That is all set up in a particular way so that we're not collecting the buyer's information. It is the buyer agent is putting in the buyer's name and email address. So it makes the buyer agent feel more comfortable. One question somebody just put, what email would the agent use for a commission check? You'd be putting in whoever you're requesting the commission check from. So probably the buyer agent, or if the buyer agent gives you like their accounting department, maybe.
Yeah, so if you put in the agent's email address, they're going to direct the request to the appropriate person. They'll be instructed to do that, or you could just get the accounting team's email address, who it should be.
Okay. Okay, great. And then could you go through, there is another way of collecting deposits without having to go through the invitation process.
Yep. So I just showed you the legacy platform where you log into your account to generate the request. The other option that's available to everyone is called DepositLink Pay. DepositLink Pay is essentially a custom URL that you simply have to get into the hands of the consumer where they click that link and they walk through steps to make a payment. I'm going to show you that in 1 second. To access your DepositLink Pay URL, once you log into your account, you're going to click My Account, right? You're going to want to put your photo in for your URL. And then up the top left, you'll click DepositLink Pay. And there'll be an activation button right here. You're able to edit your URL if you want, okay? But once you've done that, there's two things that are going to happen. You're going to have this custom URL both at the company level. Sorry, where is it? It'll look like this. So this will be branded with your company logo up the top left. It'll say Layer Real Estate, Layer Realty. And then once the buyer has this URL, they'll get it off your website. You might text it to them directly, etc. They're able to search for the listing agent. Right? So this is my custom URL now. They'll then go ahead and click Sale. And then they'll walk through these steps to make the payment. Okay, so they're going to enter the property address. They'll then verify their identity like they did in the last workflow. They're going to enter the payment amount. They'll then connect to their bank account, review, and confirm. Right? So this is buyer-centric. You just have to activate your URL before you're able to use it. Once you activate it, you're good to go. You could also direct them to the company URL as well, which is active at all times as well. So again, this is a little bit easier. You do have to have a little blind faith that the buyer is going to put in the proper address and the proper payment amount. They're going to do that 99.9% of the time the right way. You receive the same notifications on the back end. So you are going to be alerted when the buyer makes that payment. And all the reporting on the back end is the same as well. All the payments will end up in your transaction table, which I'm going to log in and quickly show you what that looks like.
While you're
Right, so this is
logging
what
into that, I want to point out one of the questions Mila had is, do you have a support team in case you need help? Two things
absolutely.
you to know. First of all, DepositLink does have a great support team, but also we've been using the platform for a long time. So I would also say just email Happy Agent at Layer Realty if you feel stuck. Lisa Peruccio is our in-house DepositLink guru. So I usually go right to her if there's an agent that has a question or not sure whose email or any of that. Lisa knows. Lisa could be on the DepositLink team.
She could. Lisa's great. She's Stacey, you were one of our last in-person meetings. That's how long you've been looking at our platform. So it's been a while.
Pre-COVID, yes.
Yes, pre-COVID. So this is your transaction table, right? So this basically itemizes all the payments you have going through the platform. So you won't have to reach out to your accounting team to find out what's going on with any of your clients' payments. You can download receipts from here as well. Do you have to collect second deposits in Florida or Maine on properties?
I would say yes.
Okay, so if that's the case, you're going to log into your DepositLink account. You'll go into the deal you already created. I'm going to click view. And then you're going to request that second deposit from within the deal. This is that initial deposit for $5,000. We can see it's pending. For that second deposit, I'm going to click purchase and sale. Well, it doesn't matter. You could click earnest money deposit as well. We'll put in the amount, set the deadline. The destination will stay the same. We'll click continue. We'll review and confirm. And we'll click request payment. So that second time around is even easier. You don't have to put the property address in again. You don't have to put the buyer agent info in again. Those steps are all automated at this point, saving you even more time that second time around. And now we can see that first payment, and then we can see the second payment. We're now waiting for the buyer's agent.
Gotcha. When each agent, I saw that when you're requesting, you put in which account it's going into. Does the agent select that?
There's a default location that it's automatically going to go to.
Okay,
like, so if it's a Maine agent, it's going to go to the Maine escrow account. If it's a Florida agent, go to the Florida account. Yep.
Got it.
Those are predetermined.
Okay.
Help and support. So once you're activated and log in, you can click on help up the top right. You'll have access to our help and training section, video tutorial library, user guides that you could, refer to if you're talking to somebody, a buyer, etc. We have customer support available 7 days a week by phone, by email, and by chat. Okay, we come from the real estate industry. We know time is of the essence when these payments are getting made. We have a support team that is trained on the platform. They know it inside and out. So if you need help or a buyer needs help, please reach out to us. You will get a timely response. We pride ourselves on that. You don't have to reach out to your admin team on the weekends or on the evenings. Please reach out to us. Okay.
Question on, and we could create this if there isn't one already, but is there a document that we could put into .loop or app files that just easily explains it to a buyer agent?
Yeah, DepositLink overview right here.
Okay.
Yep. Just
got it.
very simple.
All right, we'll upload those to our .loop and our app files so that you guys have an easy document that you can share over in case you're working with a buyer agent that has never heard of it. By the way, we're not getting rid of the other ways. Like if you prefer to have your client mail a check-in or you like bringing a check to the office, you're absolutely welcome to do business the old way. However, I can see the trajectory of our Massachusetts agents. When this first launched, there was very few agents because they had to go explain it to people. And now in Massachusetts, DepositLink has become the norm. Like most brokerages are using it. And so a large percentage of our regular deposits are coming through DepositLink. So I think that we'll see that in all of our markets, is that, yeah, it takes some getting used to collecting money that way. But when you see how simple it is and you're not going back and forth, hey, did you mail the check? And then you have to check with the admin, did the check come? Like, you get notification each step of the way. And then just quickly, you can definitely use the whole system for collecting rentals as well, because we do quite a few rentals as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Any way you need to move money within your real estate business, we have all the workflows built out. I'll just speak to what agents say about using DepositLink once they start using it. They say it's a lot like when they first started using DocuSign for electronic signatures 10 to 12 years ago. At first, they were like, is this really going to be a thing? But quickly, the industry as a whole realized the efficiency it created for all parties. You know, agents can't imagine running around collecting hard signatures anymore. And the ones that start using DepositLink, they can't imagine running around collecting checks. So give it a try. We're here to support you along the way. If you have questions, do not hesitate. We want you to be successful.
All right, wonderful stuff. I look forward to seeing more of our agents start utilizing it and just making your own lives a little bit easier so you can go out and do more business.
Stacey, one thing I'll say, if you have a lot of agents that do a lot of rentals, we're happy to jump on a separate call to walk them through those workflows. Okay.
Okay, wonderful. All right, thank you everyone for joining us today for DepositLink. And if you have any questions, send an email over to Happy Agent. Please note, as you start using it, we get all the notifications. So as you get a notification, you don't have to send it to our accounting department. We're getting the same notifications throughout. So we know when the money's received, when it's been requested, and in the event of a bounced check or money is not available, we get notified as well. So thank you so much, Mark and Liz.
One quick thing, Liz is here too. Liz is
Yes.
a magician on our onboarding team. Liz, are these agents going to receive emails today, or have they already received them?
I have not sent out activation emails, but I can later today if that's what we want to go ahead and do.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, great. Perfect.
All
All right,
right,
you'll be ready to
wonderful.
go.
Thank
Thanks,
you, guys.
Stacey. Bye-bye.
Bye.